Okay, so I wanted to do a video on my fighting knife setup I got here. I built this the end of last year or so. Kind of been slowly modding it. The general idea is that you have a K-bar. Sorry, it's hard to do this one-handed. This one is the modified Tanto. I got this for 80 bucks on Amazon. I think there's still that much. What I did was I cut off the nylon loop and punched out the rivets with a drill press and drilled my own holes down here to match up for this tech lock. This is actually a fake Chinese one. You can get these for $2. I would spend the money and get the real tech lock. I just happen to have a whole shitload of these because on the knives that I was making, I'd throw one of these on there because for $2, that way you're not spending $20 on a tech lock if you don't want to. And tech locks are easy to go buy yourself, you know. But this sheath is really bitching. I kept this little retention strap here for obvious reasons. It would look goofy without it. It had another retention up here that was like a little strap thing, kind of like on that one. I added the K-bar wrench knife to the front of this, and my thought is kind of like there's a bunch of knives throughout history that were everyday carry knives that were fighting in purpose, but they had a small kind of EDC eating knife kind of thing along with them. Scottish dirks were this way. What are they? Nepalese kakuris are this way. Even some swords had little knives like this. And honestly, this is a stabbing weapon, maybe slashing weapon. It's a weapon. This thing is for like opening packages and that kind of shit, or like cooking, what have you. I think they make a pretty killer combo. This thing was like $29. The thing that I really like about it is A, it's cheap, B, it's made by K-bar. It kind of has this like wrench knife look, and I know you're thinking that's not very camoed. I'm actually going to plastidip the handle of this and then tiger stripe it, but I haven't done that yet. It's like on my list of shit to do. The other knife, I like this better than the standard K-bar. It's not as much of a utility blade. It makes it more of a pure fighter. But for what I want a K-bar for, I think that's a good thing. And for 80 bucks, you really can't go wrong. The blade, I believe, is $10.95. That's what most K-bars are. Handle is Kraton. I like it. I did the paint on there. I've been painting all my shit, and the main reason is I can tell my shit from everybody else's. I think it looks cool. It's kind of like Boba Fett or some shit as it wears. And then, like, on top of all of that, on the bladed weapons, when you paint the blade like this, and now it's dark, like, how do you know what I have? I think this would make it very difficult to tell what this knife is, especially in, like, low light circumstances. And anything you can take away from your adversary, I think is it's more the better. The sheath itself, modified, I think this is actually pretty much about the best rig you could have. Like, you could build a Kydex rig that would be pretty good too, but like this thing, when you do an injection molded sheath, you get a little bit better sheath than you do with Kydex, in my opinion. They don't mark up the knives. They are a little sturdier, I think. Just everything about this thing is cool. And the knife, as you saw earlier, locks in and out of it. If I can do this. It's hard to do this holding the camera. Anyway, it locks in and out. And you have to like push down on that to get it in. It's pretty dope. Like, honestly, for an $80 knife, the sheath is bitchin'. And that's one of the things that you're gonna get when you buy a K-bar, is they've been making this knife for so long, and so many real world users have used it, that they got actual feedback, and that's why this sheath is so good. Like that goofy lanyard loop thing, not lanyard loop, belt loop thing here that I replaced with the buckle is actually really good if you have a big USGI nylon pistol belt. It's just, that's not what I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run a scuba webbing belt, and I really like the Tech Lock. I would carry a hunting knife probably in addition to these, because I kind of think of this as like stabbing people, and this is like utility tasks. So I actually bought the Kabar Kepart, the Becker Kabar combo thing that they make. It's the third knife that goes with these. If you want to see it, you can go look in my survival kits video. It's in that kit, and I really don't want to pull it out. That knife is pretty bitchin'. It has a really, really cool wood handle. Its sheath is kind of shitty in my opinion. It's like a plastic leather faux thing. For a $110 knife, it comes with a shitty sheath. But I guess this is just a video about K-bars now. I've always liked K-bars because it's like the Marine Corps knife, and my grandfather had one. And like that was just the knife growing up. So like, it has a special place in my heart. The other knife that he had was a Buck 119 special. So that one also has kind of a special place in my heart. Those are like probably the two knives of like his era, that like post World War II era. Like K-bar sold about 1 billion fucking K-bars after World War II. Like, I don't know about immediately afterwards, but like between World War II and now, that company has made some fucking knives. I'm getting ready to do videos on these too, so I'm doing those next, but I wanted to just make this one about this knife because I think it's pretty bitchin'. They came razor sharp out of the box. Like, I could touch them up maybe, but like for what I want these knives for, they're plenty sharp. I think if I were going to do this again, I would actually buy the standard K-bar, because I think the K-bar is going to end up getting used for utility shit a lot more than it is fucking fighting people. And as such, maybe you'd be better off having, you know, a big utility knife and a small utility knife. And like your big one is also a World War II fighting knife, so like that's dope. I don't know, I think this thing wouldn't be useless at utility. Fucking scabbard. It's just they reshaped the blade, and it's a little thinner, it's a little more stabby, and I like that. But like at the same time, you're losing some of that utility. I don't know. It was like another $20 to get the utility E1, the World War II K-bar blade, and I thought this one was cooler. And for $20 less, I was like, fuck yeah. And the sheath isn't as cool. That's the one thing you're getting on this knife and the regular Tanto that they make, is you get this pretty badass tactical sheath that is ready to have, you know, other shit bolted to it that they make. And you know, you have to drill some holes to do this shit, but it's worth it. The Tech Lock, that is. I don't know, that's about all I have to say about these. I think this wrench knife is one of the coolest knives to be made in the last 10 years. Like, I've talked many times about trying to make something like this, because I was like, why can't you just take the machine that makes the, you know, drop forged wrenches and set it to knife blades, and then just, you know, make the handles exactly like a wrench or whatever, you know, like this. And someone actually made it. I like seeing stuff that I thought was a good idea come to market. Well, now I have to sharpen that. It's not very often that something that I was really, really wanting just for my own curiosity actually comes to market as a product. And I've talked many times about the people that should do this knife are one of the big wrench companies, like Snap-on or something, should have gone with K-bar and bought all of these knives and put Snap-on on them and made it the Snap-on knife by K-bar. And I know there are companies that do that kind of shit with companies, and if Kabar didn't approach one of the one of the wrench companies about this thing for a promotional item, you know, make these with their name on them kind of thing, like they're stupid. There's a lot of money to be made there. That, and like the other thing is, a lot of the guys that would buy this knife aren't typical knife guys. Like, you should have this thing in hardware stores and academies and Walmarts. There's a whole bunch of just good old boys and mechanics that would buy the fuck out of this knife to keep in a toolbox. They made one of the best toolbox knives ever. It comes, you know, with this little plastic sheath, and it readily accepted the tech lock. So if you just want to run a little knife, you could buy this bitch and put the tech lock on it and have, you know, pretty dope setup. Well, that's about all I have to say about these, so I'll talk to you guys later.